So recording is Toolika Rani. When a squadron leader is added before your name, I'm sure that besides you, your parents must be very proud. What was their reaction when you decided and declared to them that you are joining Air Force?
Sir, first of all, I would like to begin with Jai Hind and Namaskar. So thank you so much that you have given me this opportunity to be on your platform here and through this to connect to your audience also. Now, coming to your question, sir, my parents, when I told them that I wanted to join Indian Air Force, they were quite supportive. And I have been fortunate in this aspect that my parents have supported my choices throughout my life, though they would have preferred me to get into administrative services perhaps, because I was always excellent in studies, always top in my classes, and had secured 16th place in the university merit list. So it was quite natural on their part to expect that I would get into administrative services, because this is the general perception in our society that anybody doing well in studies shall go into that direction. But when I told that my inclination was towards forces, they agreed to it, and thereafter they supported.
So when time came for saying goodbye to Air Force, I know you knew it and you adjusted very well. But for parents, it would have been a bit shocking and difficult to accept.
Yes, it was. And they had, in fact, advised me to rethink, because I did have a choice. Till our course, we were given a choice whether to continue or come out. But I had taken a conscious decision to come out, because how I look at it, I would put in one phrase: the way a tree grows, the tree grows branches, but does not leave its roots. I had joined Indian Air Force when I was barely 21. So, Air Force formed my roots. However, later on, after 10 years, I started growing my branches in terms of mountaineering and in terms of some other inclinations that I had, and therefore I had decided to come out. But considering the practical aspects, yes, my parents advised me to rethink my decision. But once I had conveyed my decision to them, this is the beauty of our relationship, that they always support me thereafter. So they advise, they do not impose their opinion on me.
And remaining on parents' reaction, was there any time when your parents said no, put their foot down, said in capital letters no? What was that?
Well, I don't remember that they had said no so emphatically to any of my decisions. First, because I suppose my decisions may have been unconventional from the practical standards, but they were not haywire. They were quite grounded in my personality. And that is what my parents must have observed. So while it was the decision of joining forces, they must have known already that I had joined NCC also, and I was doing quite well in that. And therefore, seeing my personality, Air Force was the perfect choice for me. When I decided to come out of Air Force, they already knew that I have gotten into mountaineering now, and I was very passionately pursuing it. So they knew that yes, this girl has the courage to take unconventional decisions and make the best of it. So they have that faith in my capabilities.
So they had confidence in you, and that confidence has been displayed by you when you undertook various adventure activities. I came to know that very shortly you are going to speak on subject of overcoming the failure. and this is in Leadership Global Live event at USA. Tell us something more about it.
Failure is one word which is very close to my heart because failure is the stepstone towards success. And failure is one thing which perhaps nobody teaches us how to take. While everybody is egging us on towards succeeding in life, this is failure that teaches one the most. And failure is where one feels down the most. And that is one instance where anybody on this earth would require support, understanding, and motivation, encouragement, as well as faith in his or her capabilities. That is why I speak on this subject. I have chosen specifically this subject, overcoming the fear of failure, because many times in our lives, we hesitate in taking a step forward just because of this fear of failure. It is not specifically the fear of failure, it is emphatically the fear of reactions of many people after we fail, if we fail. And that is why I speak on this. When we fail, what do we do? Do we break down, or do we take it in a positive spirit as a moment to ponder, look within, and improve ourselves? Do we take it as a dejection and rejection of the world, of ourselves, and be dejected by it and leave everything at that moment, uh, go into something which is called self-pity? Or we take it that, okay, there is perhaps something lagging in our efforts, and this is a golden opportunity to find out about our weaknesses so that we can work upon that. Failure is not the final end. It is not the end, it is just the pause, like we see in a movie. So movie shall continue after this pause. And this is why I speak on this particular subject.
This event sounds to be very, very respectable and very big event. How were you shortlisted?
I would say that it is God who connects me to people, like He connected me to you, sir. And nowadays, social media is a very enabling platform. We do meet people on social media platforms. There are LinkedIn, there is Facebook, and all these platforms. And thus, they have brought the global people together. And this is where I meet different kinds of people. I take care of associating with people who are work oriented, because like anything else in this world, the social platform also we can utilize in two ways: destructive and constructive. I choose to take all my actions in the constructive direction. So I utilize this power of social media in connecting with people who are doing something good in this world. And if they see value in me, and if they see that I can add value to their event, we connect. And it is a win-win situation for all of us.
When did you fail?
I
Because
have failed.
without failure, you cannot speak on the subject.
True. There is a series of failures in my life, as is there in anybody's life, sir. All of us, when we are born and we take our first steps, I think that is where the series of failures starts. First of all, we fall.
Tulika, I am interrupting here. Not a question on philosophy of failure. Question is very specific. When did you fail?
I failed, first of all, when I was when I had appeared for Indian Army. And I wouldn't say it was a total failure, because I do not believe that any effort is a total failure. But yes, in worldly terms, I did fail. I was recommended in my first attempt to be an officer in Indian Army, but I was not selected in the final merit list. Reasons could have been many. There was a limited number of vacancies for women officers at that time. Reasons could have been any, but I introspected, and the next year itself, I was selected for Indian Air Force. This was the first instance. The second instance was when I failed on my Mount Everest expedition in 2011. I had climbed more than halfway up, but due to a combination of factors, had to return from there. So that was the second failure in the worldly terms. But again, I learned from it. And the very next year, I could make it to the top in 2012. And third failure, as you would say, has been in civil services. I had been preparing for it, and I did clear my state civil services examinations mains and did appear for the interview. But again, as Providence would have it,
Okay.
after the interview.
Three number is good enough. Three number is good enough. I heard somewhere a very knowledgeable person was telling that successful people have series of failures. Only those who are total failure have no failure in their lives. So you are now proving that philosophy. Again, on the same track. Are you scared?
I am scared, as everybody is.
You are.
Yes.
And what type of reasons?
First of all, I'm very, very scared of a lizard.
You are very
I'm not
scared
scared
of?
of lizards. I'm not
Okay.
scared of a snake though, but
Okay.
lizards, they put an instant fear in me and I try to run away from them if I can. I'm not scared of snakes though, and not anything else in this world. And second thing, if I would say I am scared of failure, and that is why I work even harder not to fail.
Toolika, I ask these questions not with the purpose of finding faults in your personality. I ask these questions intentionally to share with our viewers in Captain's Cut that it is okay to fail. It is definitely very natural to be scared, and everyone has fears. Everyone has failure in lives. So it is okay, perfectly okay to be natural, to be scared, to be feeling vulnerable at times. But then how you use those opportunities to bring your success, to write your stories, which people like me would happily read and recommend others. So
I would share one thing, Jason.
hmm,
When we were in our academy during training, this swimming test is mandatory to be cleared by everybody. And it also includes diving from different heights into a swimming pool. So since I was not a swimmer already before joining the Air Force, I learned swimming during my training. And I was supposed to jump from this 10-meter height, that is 30 feet. So yes, of course, I was scared because there was uncertainty. Why we are scared in life? Because what I believe is, first, we are scared of uncertainty. Second, we are scared of failing. Third, we are scared of injury or death. I have experienced all these kinds of fears in my life. So at that particular moment when I was standing over there, I have a strategy. You rightly pointed out, being scared is natural. But what do we do with it? Now that differentiates everybody in this earth, on this earth. So what strategy I took is, I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm just going to jump. I am not going to stand over there and let this fear overpower me. Whatever will happen, we will see. I know how to swim. Even if I don't know how to swim, there are guards who will save me. So I would like to tell the viewers, it is more in our imagination that this might happen, that might happen after we take this step. There are always safeguards. Believe in God. God has pointed those safeguards already. So I just jumped on tree and nothing happened. And thereafter, I just started loving jumping from that moment.
Toolika, you almost shared my story. I am also, even now, I am non-swimmer. So you can imagine what was going on when your swimming test is very near and you have to pass it. Otherwise, you will be relegated. And as a non-swimmer, I passed my diving test first.
Good.
For the same reason, because I knew that there are 4 instructors and 6 lifeguards, and whole lot of course mates. So I can't afford to dive and die of drowning. So that is, kind of trust we have in team members. We have that capability of making best out of the situation, and we know how to win over the circumstances. There was another cadet in our course who could not clear 9 feet ditch. And that fear was so strong that he relegated. And in second term, again, he could not pass it and he was boarded out. So series of failures make us strong and successful ultimately. Uh, in that scene, you have seen many success. You have done many adventure activities. Who's your role model?
My role model in life,
I believe you might be having plenty of role models because you are active in various fields.
I take good from everybody, sir. But if I have to point out one person, that would be Swami Vivekananda. He is my ultimate role model in my life. For various things, I look up to him. So, one of his quotes that he says, anything that we consume physically, intellectually, morally, spiritually, reject it as poison. Now, this is my mantra in life. I would always attract positive things into my life and nothing that would weaken me on any front. So, if only we utilize our time constructively and making ourselves stronger, not only we are able to utilize our own potential, but we become in turn an asset for the society around. So, that is what I have been following to.
With so many awards and recognitions under your belt of IAF and later on in the life, have you ever faced very uncharitable negative comment just because you are successful?
Yes, that's a common thing to happen to anybody, I would say, who aspires to do unconventional, uncommon things. So I would remember one thing that right on my very first adventure course, there was a senior who didn't like these things very much. Now, I do not want to comment on his judgment or his perception of life. To some people, adventure sports might look unnecessary and useless. So perhaps he was one of those people. And he had made a comment, well, let's see how you go for the next course. And that was my very first adventure course. Now, the time has proved that I did many of them afterwards, 23 expeditions across the world. So I was not stopped. But that comment still reverberates in my mind. And that made me work even harder. That made me more determined to continue on my path. So anybody who tries to obstruct my path, first of all, I do not do anything which is harmful for the society. And that is why I have perfect conviction in what I do and I am trying to do. If somebody tries to unnecessarily put uh, an obstruction in my path, I become even more determined to do that. And that is what I did.
So you always have, someone very constipated who looks at you with contempt just because you are so successful in whatever you do. That happens in professional life. That is understandable. But when you excel, there is a lot of family support required. I have already discussed about your parents' support. Now, I want to know what is family support you are getting for what all you are planning. You are doing research, you are planning other adventure activities. So how your family supports you in all your activities?
First of all, they do not stand as an obstruction in my path. As I had told earlier, the role of a parent is to advise of both the aspects of a child's decision and thereafter leave the decision power to that person. So this is what my parents do. Second, if I come on to more specifics, when I'm studying, I'm not expected to do anything else. So my parents are very clear about my capabilities. They see me not at a very small pedestal, but they see their child rising really high and becoming an asset to everybody around. So they have not restricted me to just their family. Perhaps they have dedicated me to a larger cause. And that is why I'm not expected any time to indulge into something which is, I wouldn't say a lesser job, but something which can be done by others. They always do it themselves or by get it done by somebody else while I study. So that support is always there. Second, yes, financial support has always been there from their side. The most beautiful thing of them is they do not try to fit me into any conventional mold, because we, specifically women in the society all around the world, we are expected to fit into certain molds, settle down in a specific way, or be a slightly homely person, or be submissive. So those molds have never been imposed upon me. And that is the best thing. That is why I am an independently thinking person. And I am a bold person who can do my own works, who can take my own decisions, and I can defy a certain stereotypes if it comes to that.
So when this interview is over, I'm sure you will have long hours of studying. You are writing your research paper thesis. On which subject you are working for your PhD?
So it is again related to mountaineering. And because I believe that one should always work on something which is close to their heart. And that is when we are going to give our 100% into it and we are going to perform excellently. So I chose mountaineering. Specifically, if I tell about my subject, it is Sherpas of Nepal, their evolution, as well as the impact of mountaineering as a commercial activity on their socio-cultural life. So this is what I want to research on. Why this topic is because whenever something new happens and some economic activity is injected in a traditional society, there are these both kinds of changes happening, positive as well as negative impacts. And Sherpas, because when I was climbing Mount Everest, I had the opportunity to interact with Sherpas a number of times. And I do not take climbing just as a physical activity. I interact with people around there. And I found that while their life has been positively impacted in many ways, opened vast vistas of commercial avenues for them by mountaineering, there has been a downside also upon their culture. And they have a rising aspiration now. The earlier client and Sherpa equation is also changing recently, as we have seen that uh, K2 has been climbed by purely a team of Sherpas. Now that is a new phenomena, very, very interesting phenomena happening in their land. So now Sherpas are rising as a community of climbers in their own right, not just as a helping hand. So that is why I have chosen this topic. I would trace right from the beginning how they have migrated from Tibet into Nepal. Thereafter, all these changes, I will bring about a balanced perspective of mountaineering in Nepal and what further can be done from their perspective.
Tulika, one Everester shared with me that actually winners are the horses, but medals are taken by their riders, men. So similarly, probably he was indicating the contribution of Sherpas in the success of mountaineers, those who climb Everest. Their record is maintained. There might be Sherpas who have been to summit dozen of times. They don't get known. Do you know any Sherpa who has been there the highest number of times?
Apa Sherpa is one, Kami Rita Sherpa is one. There are many Sherpas who have done Everest 21 times also. And they are the real lions, I would say. They are the real sons of mountains. So they are the heroes of Everest. And My book is going to be published by the end of this year, hopefully. And when people read that book, they would see that I have given due credit to my Sherpas also, because they deserve it.
That, of course, is one hallmark of required quality of a good leader and successful person. Uh, Mountains call people. Had the mountains more pull towards it? And again, some climber shared with me that mountains do call you back. So when you decide to go back to any peak, whom or what you will take along with you?
I had heard in mountaineering, there is a saying that if you want to return to a place, pick up a stone from there. So generally, I used to do that because if I have felt that this place is very, very beautiful, I would like to come back here. I would do this exercise, picking up a
How many
small stone
stones you
every
have
day.
now?
I have n number of them,
Hmm.
and so I think I will keep on climbing all my life. It happened on Mount Everest because it was very interesting that while I was climbing Khumbu Glacier, which lies between the base camp and the camp one, just ahead of base camp, this is a ice fall, Khumbu ice fall. It is very haphazard, huge blocks of ice in a very haphazard kind of a system, but they looked very, very beautiful to me. And every time I would climb over this glacier, I would think, I wish I can climb it again. So it happened. On my 2011 expedition, I was not able to make it to the summit. And when I went back again in 2012, I realized that while climbing for the last time, supposedly in that summit, towards the summit attempt, I had thought in my mind, well, perhaps this is the last time I'm climbing Khumbu. And then it called me again that no, it is not the end. You will climb the many, many a time. So come back again next year. It did happen.
तो ये तो तुलिका आपने बता दिया टेक्निकलिटीज, कैसे माउंटेन्स पीक्स आपको वापस बुलाती हैं, लेकिन आपने ये नहीं बताया कि जब आप वापस जाएंगी तो किसको या क्या साथ लेकर जाएंगी फिर से?
Again, if I speak philosophically, I
No,
will
no,
take
this
along
is
with
this
me.
this is not philosophical question. This is practical question. Little imaginary, hypothetical. लेकिन आप उसी लेवल पे बताइए कि किसको साथ में ले जाना चाहेंगे या क्या साथ में ले जाना चाहेंगे?
God,
I insist.
God.
Huh?
That's God. I would like to take along with me God. He's one person. I consider God as a father figure. He's always with me. I do not.
So you insist on being philosophical.
No, it is not philosophical, sir. I perceive God's presence along with me all the time, and in my most difficult times, He has been the one who has given me strength. I visualize Him. I feel Him there. So I take Him as my father.
जब जब भगवान सब जगह हैं, अभी ये डिस्कशन थोड़ा सा थीम से आगे जा रहा है कि अगर भगवान सब जगह हैं तो फिर आप साथ में ले जाने की सोचे भी नहीं, क्योंकि वो तो वहां पहले से शायद आपसे पहले से ही मौजूद है वहां. तो एनीवे ये पॉइंट यहीं पर छोड़ते हैं, लेकिन इससे एक पॉइंट और निकलता है कि बड़ी प्रोफाउंड फीलिंग होती है जो उस वक्त आपको पूरी तरह से नंब कर सकती है, स्टर्न कर सकती है, आप स्पीचलेस हो जाते हैं, कई बार दिमाग में बोलते हैं कि एकदम शून्य हो जाता है. लेकिन जब आप अब अपने ड्राइंग रूम में बैठी हुई हैं तो वो जो फीलिंग थी माउंट एवरेस्ट पर, वो क्या फीलिंग थी, वो शेयर कर सकते हैं हमारे व्यूअर्स को?
आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा सर कि कभी कभी ऐसा हो जाता है क्योंकि आपने बहुत लंबा स्ट्रगल किया होता है, और जब भी इंसान अपनी शारीरिक लिमिट्स को क्रॉस करके कोई उपलब्धि हासिल करेगा तो उसके बाद उसके माइंड का नम हो जाना शायद नेचुरल है. So this is what had happened to me also when I reached on the top of Mount Everest. First of all, I was quite relieved that the climb is over because I had been climbing throughout the night. It had been tough 11 hours and 30 minutes. So you can understand that I was quite relieved to know that, okay, now I do not have to force my feet to move further. The first thing was this. The second was gratitude, of course. So all I felt was gratitude for God as well as for my Sherpas, because they had been with me for all these close to 2 months, and they were my loyal companions. They had helped me greatly. So I hugged them and I expressed my gratitude towards them. So that was the second feeling. Third was awe, I would say, because it is so beautiful up there. You just see sky and mountains, the snow, such majestic peaks standing all around you. You feel very, very small and at the same time one with the universe. So it is a feeling which cannot be described in mere words, because it is a feeling of oneness with the entire universe. You feel God is so marvelous that he has created such beauty that human being cannot describe. So these were all the feelings that were there in my mind at that time.
Any place you hate even now?
Any place?
Any
I don't.
place where you have been and you hated it then, you hate it even now?
Hate is not an emotion which I harbor. So I do not hate. I may dislike, but I do not hate anything or any place in this life. Um, I don't remember that I hated any place so much that I would not like to visit it again. No.
Any unfinished agenda?
Yes, lots of them. So first would be, perhaps, since I have now ventured into public speaking, and there have been a number of talks on various platforms. TEDx has already been achieved. First TEDx is already on the YouTube. The second TEDx has been recorded and it is going to be launched very shortly. So now would be United Nations
Hmm.
someday. I do not know when, but if I think what would I like to do before dying, that would be speaking at United Nations.
So, for such activities which you have been undertaking, a lot of money is involved. I know Indian Air Force, in while you were in service, Indian Air Force supported you financially. Organizational support was tremendous. But now, after leaving IAF, how you manage your funds?
If we have a will, there is a way. So it is not one source that funds my activities. At times, there are foundations that support me. At times, it is my own individual endeavor, whether it is like splurging my savings. If you call it splurging, I call it utilizing my savings. Then my parents are there to support me, of course. So I feel that if I have a will to do something, it might be delayed due to financial constraints at that particular time. But if I keep trying, some or other way is open for me.
Share your TEDx experience. What subject you spoke and how were you selected?
A lot of things in my life happen by chance, sir. So I feel I'm very fortunate on that front also, that I have been God's favorite child. He keeps on sending opportunities my way. Perhaps it has something to do with my positive attitude, because it is said that we attract whatever goes on in our mind. And in the material world also, we are surrounded later on by the same things. So because first thing what I feel about myself is intensity. And if I really think about something, it is very, very intense. And that is why, from somewhere, people, funds, places, events, they just occur to me. So, similar thing happened regarding TEDx also. Somebody approached me, somebody who was an acquaintance approached me to give me this opportunity that a TEDx was happening in his university and would I like to speak. So, of course, who would refuse such an opportunity? And if I come to the experience, of course, TEDx is a very reputed platform. and it has a responsibility attached to it. So I was aware of it, and that is why I was given a topic, time to ponder. So I thought, what is that one thing which is very close to my heart and about which I have full conviction within myself? So I spoke on equilibrium. Equilibrium amongst human beings, because we, although we are one race, we are divided on many fronts. We are divided on the fault lines of nationality, religion, race, caste, as well as gender. Further, you can add poor and rich into it. So I thought that there is this very fundamental truth that all the human beings have been created equal by God, and we are one human family. There are many problems that we face today as a society, as a human community. Terrorism can be one, radicalization can be another, and all these civil wars happening in different countries is also one example. The international politics, we have just faced a pandemic, perhaps due to international politics. So all these things, their root cause is because we try to perceive ourselves as different units trying to dominate each other. So what is that one thing which can alleviate these problems from the society? This is the feeling of oneness. First of all, we have to realize that we are one human community. We are not different, that we have to kill each other on various fronts because of various reasons. And whoever kills does it because of this struggle for power and nothing else. So I spoke on this subject. The another component of my talk was equilibrium between human beings and nature, because we are trying to be the masters of nature, and that is why we are destroying our own excess. We are trying to imperil our own existence on this earth, and understanding of it is very essential to save our own existence. First of all, we have to be aware of our just place on this planet. We are not the masters, we are just another component on this beautiful earth. Along with us live many creatures, human beings as well as other species. We have to be mindful of them. So these two components formed the basis of my talk.
Thank you, Sqn Leader Toolika Rani. Our viewers in Captain's Cut have been fortunate to understand what are real ingredients of a successful person, the leadership traits, the courage, confidence, and that requirement of correction which failure offers, the opportunities to be capitalized, how you have taken all these ingredients into your successful life, that your story is true example of following passion which came out of your profession. And in Captain's Cut, we are very, very fortunate to have detailed discussion with you. I'm sure our viewers will be benefited by your life story, and look forward to further opportunities to interview yet again. And any message you would like to share with our young audience, young viewers, on leadership, nation building, character building, or whatever message you want to share with them?
I would say that life has a purpose, a bigger purpose than eat, drink, and be merry. Pleasure is a huge temptation. Avoid it at all costs. The more you give pleasure to yourself, the lesser entity you become in this world. So rise higher. First of all, know your own self, then transcend those limits of yourself and connect with everything around. So this human life has been given to you not to just splurge it on worldly temptations. It has been given to you to become that source of power that illuminates this entire earth and leaves something good when your mortal body goes from here. For young people, again, read Swami Vivekananda. If you have any confusion in your life, you will find your way. Read him, imbibe his teachings, and you will rise higher. You will not only utilize your own potential, but you will become a role model for many others.
Thank you, Toolika. Next time when we interact, I am sure that I will address you as Sqn Leader Dr. Toolika Rani. Wish you all the success and may you remain very cheerful, happy, and healthy. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
So, formal interview is over, and